a lot of improvement in our schooling systems, especially also in our province, where the pass rate has increased. We have produced better trained people in our schooling system. But in a certain way, we have failed our community because we are trained people to have certain skills. But I think we're lacking in a certain way to produce well-behaved people who have respect for other people's property, and especially with our schools. Our province has the highest incident of vandalizing schools. Is it a civilized person who burns down his own school? Is it a civilized person who vandalizes schools? Is it a civilized person who acts without respect to women and girls, who attack girls, who do all sorts of things to women and children? I believe that we must concentrate on in our schooling system to produce well-behaved and civilized people, because we can get into a position where we have trained people, but they are educated savages, because it's not a well-behaved person who burns down his own school. In Japan, in the first 4 years of education, children do not write exams. In the first 4 years of education, the children are taught proper and acceptable manners. They are taught to be civilized people, that once they have been fully trained, they are an asset to the country. I believe that we must concentrate to eventually have civilized and educated people. At this point in time, I think we are lacking there, because there is a lot of vandalizing in our country, and there is a disrespect for children and women in our country and in our province, where we have the highest incidence of vandalizing schools and property in our province. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Lueba. May I now call Honorable B.A. Majuba from the ANC, 10 minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker, and thank you also to the Speaker in absentia. Let's appreciate the Honorable Premier. Let's appreciate the Chief Whip and all my colleagues in the executive and all honorable members. Honorable Deputy Speaker, we are holding this debate under difficult conditions of COVID-19, which is encouraging us to intensify our revolution of the fourth industrial revolution. As of now, we are holding this debate virtually, which makes us to appreciate this fourth industrial revolution, and it has managed to assist us to enhance in making sure that we take note of it. Despite the challenges in education, the education goes ahead unabated. As the Minister said, we are trying to balance saving the lives of the people, especially teachers and children in schools, but at the same time we want to save the academic year. Let me appreciate all debates and ascertain that we will do our level best in the department to take note of both constructive criticisms and also intensify our good work where we have done good work. Let me also appreciate Honorable Hlophe. We agree with Honorable Hlophe that we must salute teachers and learners for having done Mpumalanga a good work by making sure that they pass well in the previous year. The fact that we managed to get, for the first time in the province, 80%, it was because of the hard work of both teachers and the class of the previous year. Of course, we must condemn vandalism because vandalism by its nature is not taking us forward, is not progressive. Education is a societal matter to be supported by all of us because if we are to improve what is happening in the country in terms of improving our economy, the starting point is for us to make sure that education is taken serious care of. The good performance of the previous year, as I said, it was something that will always encourage us to work much more harder to make sure that we don't disappoint the society in the province in terms of us having to retrogress. I agree completely with Honorable Shope that the doors of learning must be open for all. That is why that we want to make sure that the doors of learning should be opened even during this time of COVID-19, although we have to have precautionary measures of making sure that when we take these children to school and teachers, we have to make sure that their lives are taken care of, such that the question of life will have to be taken care of. MRTT is quite a very important institution that assists us in training out of school youth and is doing well so far, and we appreciate that. We appreciate what Honorable Nyembe is saying by welcoming the budget. We think that we want to thank you for welcoming the budget. The negatives of COVID-19, of course, they do affect all of us, and all of us who are learning through this experience, which is unprecedented, of course. And also, the question of us having to establish a unit to work on sanitation, we're going to look into that because we agree that there are certain things which need to be done by government instead of them being outsourced. We will have to look into all those kinds of issues. The students from Astrakhan were always communicating with them. Even today, this morning, I was communicating to some of them. We are, of course, trying our level best to take care of those students. The challenges that they are facing, of course, we are making our level best that we take care of them. Rakas, as an institution, we have taken a decision as a department that once the contract of Rakas comes to an end, we will never renew that contract because, as you say yourself, we don't want to be assisted by people such as Rakas when it comes to the question of taking care of students. There, we have taken that decision. Parents should always be involved in the education. And as the department, in each and every time, we make sure that we have workshops where we are workshopping SGBs, so as SGBs can be able to workshop parents in terms of them participating in schools. We also agree with you, Honorable Nyembe, that parents are the parents of these children, and therefore they should take charge of what is happening in schools. Honorable Stolle, I think we also welcome what you are saying by saying that you support the budget of the Department of Education. The question of procuring of textbooks. Every year we make sure that there is a budget that is put aside to make sure, as we have said, even this time around, that we have budgeted 300 million in order to purchase textbooks. But at the same time, we want to make sure that we digitize the question of the purchasing of textbooks, as we'll be able to make sure that we bring along some other gadgets which where textbooks will be included into those gadgets as time goes on. The School for the Blind, it is within our plan in the MTSF, and we have stated in our MTSF that we are going to build that school. Already we have managed to get the land, and other processes are continuing to make sure that we build the school The question of ECD is quite important, as you said, because the basis of education starts at that level, which is ECD. We are trying our level best, as you know, that we are now taking over ECD from the Department of DSD, and we are working together with DSD in making sure that the question of ECD is taken good care of. Eradication of pit latrines toilets is what the president of the country had alluded to, and it is always on our plan that we are working very hard to make sure that we eradicate once and for all the question of pit latrines, because they are problematic. As of now, we've taken that decision that as we have in 435 toilets that are not in good condition right now, we can say that the Department of Public Works is dealing with the question of improvement of sanitation in the province. Safety in our schools, we want to appeal to all of us, that all of us, let us make sure that we declare war against vandalism of schools. Let us, all of us, join our hands and defend those schools irrespective of political affiliation, because education of these kids is for all of us, and all of us, we should work in making sure that our schools, they should remain safe as they are. And thank you very much for wishing us a good work for this year. We appreciate that, Honorable Sithole. Honorable Wemba, we appreciate
1 minute remaining.
We appreciate that you're talking about the pass rate that has increased, but we also acknowledge what you're saying, that education must teach learners to be well behaved. What we can say is this question of behavior of our society is it's a result of what apartheid did. Apartheid created a culture of violence in the country. And this is becoming the legacy of apartheid, as it was regarded as apartheid, as crime against humanity. Therefore, all of us, we must make sure that we defeat the legacy of apartheid from all manifestations.
As you conclude, Honorable Member.
As I conclude, I want to thank everybody, Honorable Deputy Speaker, for having supported our budget. Thank you very much.
Thank you, MEC. That concludes my speakers list. Now the question before the House is whether we agree to adopt the report as tabled by Honorable Nthophe. Agreed to?
Agreed.
As so agreed.
Agreed, Deputy.
The Secretary shall read the fourth order of the day.
Number four, consideration and debate on a report of the Portfolio Committee on Public Works, Roads and Transport, Community Safety and Lighting, on Board 8, Department of Public Works, Roads and Transport.
Thank you. I now call upon the Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Public Works, Roads and Transport, Community Safety, Security and Lighting, Honorable S.K. Mashilo, to table the report.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I hereby present table the report as presented by the Honorable MEC Mashilo. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a speaker's list in front of me. The first one on the list is Honorable S.K. Mashiro in the ANC, 10 minutes.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. The Excellency Honorable Junior, EXCO members, members of the legislature. It is my privilege and honor to take part in this. Indeed, this debate takes place at the month of June, better known as the Youth Month. The details of the Youth Month are known of the Today's Deputy 6th of June. On the 6th of June 1955, people converged in Cape Town and agreed with a document called the Freedom Charter, whom today we're all beneficiaries of it, which it says people shall govern, and indeed we are governed. It further says all national groups shall have equal rights. The Deputy Speaker must pause and ask this fundamental question: does the Black American have the same equal rights? After many years, America claimed being the champion of democracy. The painful death of George Floyd through suffocation must indeed be condemned by all of us. First of all, ask a question to Donald Trump: if does he know that all people are equal before God? Deputy Speaker, this debate takes place in the month or at a time when COVID-19 is indeed a real pandemic, means global epidemic. We must commend our ANC government for the Premier together with unity for taking this pandemic in the. We heard in the past from the House of this legislature how Western Cape is well managed. They were told as well that the real problem of this. We must thank our honorable team.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, Honorable Mashilo is not audible from my side.
I'm sorry, Honorable Member. Deputy Speaker, public works, roads and transport remain the backbone of any economic development. The policy addressed by the MSC has confirmed those issues in details. The Premier of the province, in her address, did mention that over 5 billion has been put aside to invest in the infrastructure development, because acknowledging that if we develop infrastructure, the economy of the province shall grow. The current N4 development confirmed that the Maputo corridor is on course. Over 2 decades, the ANC government has put and built many tar roads where it matters most, connecting one village to the other. Today, I can confirm all of us, we can travel from one area to the other on a tar road that the Public Works has done. Department must indeed increase its budget on maintenance and replacement of the fleets, because we need the fleets to assist where there is no tar road as such. EPWP remained the strategic program to introduce the young and the inexperienced into the field of the employment. We must indeed, Deputy Speaker, intensify that our municipalities must mobilize more resources for this important program of the EPWP. On roads, some of the provincial roads are unmarked and might create or might have a potential of accident cost and litigation to departments. Clearly, our MSC must take a serious program to respond to this problem. It is a common cause that any contractor that does shoddy work must be blacklisted. There is no question where our contractors have not done well. Department cannot take a blame, but at the same time, department must act on that case. While we acknowledge and appreciated the design of the Nokaneng Kachivan roads and many other roads in the province, our community are impatient about those roads. It is in the desire of this legislature to complete the parliamentary village before term of this administration is coming to an end, in particular before Honorable Weber goes to pensions. On transport, this government of ANC led our schools transport so well. However, there's been many challenges marked by this issue of the scholar transport. We must, however, suggest that a scholar transport committee be established where the parents of those affected kids, they come together and form a committee to respond to this particular challenge. Honorable Deputy Speaker and MEC has acknowledged that the resources of the province belong to the province. As we award tenders and distribute the resources, it has to be distributed equally. We've got to look all areas are covered so that we are responding to this. Indeed, we acknowledge as well that the COVID-19 made the national government to cut over $500 million of this department, and thus will affect the Department of Public Works to implement some of their important programs. But be as it may, we are certain with the leadership of our MEC and the team there that they will be able to maneuver and implement the program as affected. On behalf of the ANC, we want to say we support this proposed budget of the MEC, and certainly we believe that all our roads shall be marked, that all our people shall benefit from these resources of the province. Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mashiro. The next speaker.
Oh, Mashiro, Deputy Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Mashiro. Thanks. The next speaker will be Honorable Mofokeng from the EFF, placing Honorable Sedibe. 5 minutes.
Thanks, Honorable Deputy Speaker, and greetings to all the honorable members. Deputy Speaker, the Department of Public Works, Roads and Transport is playing a very important role in implementing the infrastructural projects, including building and maintenance of such. It is true, the effect of COVID-19 will be felt many years from now economically, as it affected humankind, who must participate in growing our economic as a province. An economy that must grow and create employment opportunities for our people to earn incomes that must sustain or improve their livelihood. For all this to happen, the EFF believes that the government must increase its spending on quality infrastructure development. The pandemic has exposed our people build infrastructure such as low investment in public healthcare facilities, low number of beds in hospital, lack of sanitation in schools and other public facilities. It is a shame that in 26 years into democracy, the ANC running government without a break has failed our people communities. Schools with cracked walls, some of no proper roofs, no flushing toilets or access to the clean water. Inaccessible clinics due to poor road networks. The list of poor service delivery is endless. MEC, your numbers and that of the Department of Education in terms of the sanitation infrastructure target are not making sense, and please, you must do a thorough comparison, not unless you want to increase supply where there is low demand. Our people, Honorable Deputy Speaker and MEC, continue to hear and experience unemployment, especially black females. As per recent results issued by the Statistics General, the EFF believes that public works mandate should include coming up with a plan to employ more people on permanent basis to do all semi-skilled service or jobs, such as bricklaying, boiler making, plumbing, so that they can save the state money spent on tenders in return to build state capacity and slowly abolishing the tenders system. Tough times calls for the tough decision, MEC. Sometimes a tragedy like this pandemic, if viewed positively, can bring solution to old problems such as all the infrastructural backlogs caused by the funds unavailability. The EFF support the budget if the EFF will support the budget if it is a people's-driven budget, not a tender-driven budget. Tender, we call it tender. I thank you, Deputy Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The next speaker is Honorable Deputy Krovemogen from the TA, 4 minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Greetings to all honorable members. Honorable Speaker, the Honorable MEC has just delivered his budget for public works, roads and transport. And I believe there are more serious shortcomings which the MEC should take into consideration. We are at a time where the COVID-19 pandemic wreaked havoc in our province. There were a lot of residents who joined the ranks of the unemployed and found it hard to sustain their families. And given this, we as the DA are against the decision to decrease the EPWP target set from 16,043 to 10,045 in the 2021 financial year. The department has always struggled to keep up with the target of community-based programs, and the related hiring of EPWP workers that is both within the department and within its oversight role. It is from this perspective we ask the MEC to ensure that the department attains to this target. Honorable MEC, we believe that the province road, rail and air network is pivotal to promoting and sustaining tourism and also sustaining the jobs of those who live in the tourism industry. The roads in our province are in shambles, with potholes that span many kilometers on end, and tourists and residents have had enough. The transport infrastructure budget has decreased significantly from the adjusted appropriation of 2.5 billion in 2019-2020 to 2 billion and 83 due to non-continuous allocation on the coal haulage funding in the provincial road maintenance fund. We are against this decrease, given that the funding in the provincial road, we are against this, given that the significant damage of our provincial roads and the negative condition of our roads is a contributing factor that is deterring tourism in our province. Due to the decrease mentioned above, the number of square kilometers of surface roads rehabilitating in coal haulage and tourism networks is to decrease from 158 to 116. The decreasing budget in transport operations further decreases the following outputs in the APP. Number one, number of tourism and coal haulage roads rehabilitated from 158 to 116. A number of square meters of surface roads resealed from 1.2 to 593,000. Number of kilometers of gravel roads from 160 to 138. Number of square meters on blacktop patching from 130,000 to 62,558. Number of gravel roads bladed from 24,000 to 14,000. We would like to see the department live up to the war on potholes, but we are wary given that the number of square meters of blacktop patching up from 130,000 to 62,000. In concluding, Deputy Speaker, I believe that the budget for the department in the coming year will be failing the residents of the province when it comes to the employing of residents through the department's EPWP initiatives. I do believe that the province's roads are inconducive for sustaining tourism and the related livelihood of our province, and also at the point where residents themselves have had enough. The roads are not safe for our residents. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The next speaker is Honorable Weber, 3 minutes.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, thank you very much. This department is very, very important. Coming out of the serious damage that was done to our economy by the COVID-19 incident, I was informed that expenditure on infrastructure would lead the revival of our economy. Unfortunately, if I look at the figures here, our economy is not going to be revived if we only spend 5 billion on public works and roads and transport. We need much more if we want to revive our economy. 5 billion is simply not sufficient, because there are certain roads, especially, which need attendance, the coal haulage roads, the tourism roads, and so forth. And we will simply have to spend more on that, because if our infrastructure collapses, then our country will be hard hit by that incident. Honorable Deputy Speaker, the public works is heavily reliant on tenders and contracts. And unfortunately, if there is no opposition party scrutiny in the awarding of tenders and contracts, there will always be a temptation to do something which comes down to corruption. And therefore I plead that all tenders that are awarded and all contracts that are awarded should be subjected to opposition party scrutiny, because there are certain tenders that I have seen where I really feel that opposition party scrutiny would have helped to prevent corruption in these tenders and contracts. In general, I feel that this department is well run. All the committee meetings that I have attended, I had the impression that the MEC and the department has a firm grip on what is happening. But there is still room for improvement. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The last speaker is Honourable Mashego, ANC, 10 minutes.
Well, thank you, Deputy Speaker, Honourable Mkhatshwa, Premier of Mpumalanga Province, Honourable Refilwe Mtsweni-Tsipane, the Chief Whip of the ruling party, Honourable Fana Mlombo, Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Public Works, Roads and Transport and Community Safety, Security and Liaison, Honourable Speedy Mashilo, members of this August House, the head of the administration in the province, Ms. Sindisiwe Tulu, HODs and the acting HOD for Public Works, Roads and Transport, Kiboni Masange, all departmental officials, fellow citizens of the place of the rising sign, I greet you all. Speaker, we are in the intersection of a deadly pandemic and infamous triple challenges that seemingly demand contradictory responses. There is no silver bullet to subdue either of these enemies without inflicting casualties. Our government had no choice but to impose strict measures characterized by the lockdown in order to save lives, even at the expense of economic activities. Nevertheless, this decision was most critical to strengthen our health system in order to deal with the anticipated wave of infections. Honorable members, this coronavirus has indeed compounded our challenges. The unfortunate incident of our members who died at the hands of our state law agencies, all that our people are pleading for is an opportunity to breathe, but the knee of poverty, unemployment, and inequality weighs heavily on their neck. At this point in time, we cannot be bystanders, nor can we afford the luxury to parade frivolous political sentiments while our people are suffocating. This is a defining moment to rise to the occasion as sons and daughters of the African soil to defend our own. On that note, we have crafted our budget vote as an expression of the people's contract to uplift the poor and vulnerable from the gutters of poverty, as articulated by the President of the Republic of South Africa, President Cyril Ramaphosa, during SONA earlier this year, open quote, "We will not surrender our future to doubt, despair, or division, or to those who are permanently negative to the work that is being done to improve the lives of our people," close quote. I stand before this House to reaffirm this commitment. Our collective role henceforth is to resuscitate our economy, and infrastructure remains critical for the economy recovery. As a result, we are fast-tracking the construction of various healthcare facilities throughout the province. To date, we have secured the necessary isolation and quarantine facilities to accommodate COVID-19 patients. We are ramping up our efforts to ensure availability of adequate basic services, such as water and sanitation in various schools across the province. The role of safe, efficient, and affordable transport system and infrastructure as the heartbeat of the economy can never be overemphasized. More than ever before, mobility, accessibility, and connectivity are at the center of our combat against the invisible enemy. Speaker, we are confident that government and the taxi industry will reach a consensus with regard to the relief fund dispute. The easing of lockdown restriction also prepares us to upscale job creation offers through various community-based programs to lower the impact of the temporary suspension of economic activities. I agree with all the members in terms of their inputs. In relation to policy budget speech, flowing from the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, Honorable Mashilo, in relation to parliamentary village, we experienced some challenges in relation to the land. We decided and resolved to take the legal route, but I'm told that now the trust is ready to engage, and I'm going to engage them next week so that we can unlock. Failure to, the last option is to take the legal route. The issue of the withdrawal of the coal haulage infrastructure grant is a blow to the province, and I agree with all the members that this is going to affect us very badly, considering that we are grant reliant, and we have been saying from time to time when we come to the Portfolio Committee, wherever we account, that it is not good for us to rely on grants, and when the grants are withdrawn, it will create a problem for us. So most of our projects are going to be affected because they are multi-year projects and we have made commitments. But we are engaging the minister on that aspect. Honorable Mufukeni, the issue of skills development, in each and every project that we implement, we make sure that there is a legacy, and one of the legacy in those projects is to ensure that we leave skills in all the projects that we are implementing. Honorable, on the issue of sanitation, Honorable Sithole, during the debate of the Department of Education, raised the matter that we are now doing sanitation based on COVID-19. We want to put it in the correct perspective that all the projects that we are completing this month, we started them in January, and in January and December there was no COVID in the country. And it was our projects are not based on COVID. And we want to report to the House, Honorable Deputy Speaker, that for the first time, the department, in collaboration with the Department of Education, has been able to spend the Department of Education basic education grant, and we received incentives this financial towards the end of the financial year of about 300 million. That is an achievement that we made, and we hope to sustain that so that every year we must be able to benefit from provinces that they are not spending their grant. Honorable Webb, I agree with you that this department is the heartbeat of the economy, and the 5 billion that is allocated to the department is insufficient, because you'll recall that previously we had a budget of 8 billion, and now this decrease are going to affect us, and it means most of our projects. Honorable Mashilo has made mention of the project around Kachivan. They are being affected on the basis that there are some budget cuts. On the issue of openness, transparency on tenders is a matter that we are working on. And it is also our view that there should be transparency, there should be fairness, there should be openness, and that is what we are. Honorable Morgan Crovier, on the tourism routes, let me explain to my fellow honorable members that a life of a road is between 8, 9, and 10 years. Every that period, a road needs to be resealed. Now, all the cracks that we are seeing on the roads that ultimately and eventually result in potholes is because we don't have the budget to maintain our roads. But the Premier has taken a bold step that all the departments must put aside 2% of their budget for maintenance. Our government's weaknesses is that we build infrastructure, but we don't budget for maintenance. So this must go concurrently. Whilst you continue to meet the demands of the people on the ground with the unrest and all these things, at the same time, you need to make a reflection to say how many projects have you constructed and how much are you going to put on each project to make sure that you maintain their standards and then you don't come after they are dilapidated and it costs us a lot of money. But Deputy Speaker, we want to take all the constructive criticism that are raised on the department and we are noting them. We are going to ensure that we take the criticism into our strengths and we make sure that we improve on our implementation. You'll recall that we are implementing for the Department of Education, the Department of Health, the Department of Culture, Sports and Recreation, and the Department of Social Development. So all those inputs that have been raised will make sure that we improve in our implementation of their projects. Bearing in mind that this year is not going to be the same with the previous year.
As you conclude, Honorable Member.
On the basis that we are facing this enemy that is invisible. And thank you very much for the support that we are receiving from the Portfolio Committee that is led by Honorable Speedy Mashilo. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member. That concludes my speakers list. Now the question before the House is whether we agree to adopt the report as tabled by Honorable S.K. Mashilo. Agreed to?
Agree.
Yes. Yes, so agree.
Just the Speaker to correct Mashilo and Mashiro confusion.
Yes.
Thank you, honorable members. The Secretary shall read the fifth order of the day.
Order number 5, consideration and debate on a report of the Portfolio Committee on Health and Social Development on Vote 10, Department of Health.
Thank you. I now call upon the Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Health and Social Development, Honorable J.L. Tabete, to table the report. Honorable Tabete.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I move that the August House adopt the report as tabled by Honorable MEC. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have a speakers list in front of me. Speaker number 1 will be Honorable F.V. Mlombo from the ANC, 8 minutes. Honorable Mlombo.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. Let me greet the Honorable Deputy Speaker, the Honorable Deputy Chief Whip of the Majority Party, the Honorable Premier Mayor Mtsenitsipane, all Honorable members of the Executive Council, and my colleagues from the Provincial Legislature. Honorable Speaker, let me begin by extending my appreciation and congratulations to the Honorable MEC Liz Manzeni for such a powerful, a qualitative, informative, balanced, and well-articulated policy and budget speech. We pride ourselves as the African National Congress that she is an organic product of our movement, the ANC, and that she is amongst the finest example of what our revolution is capable of producing. The African National Congress fully supports the policy and budget speech delivered by the Honorable MEC. We support this speech, this policy and budget speech, because it complies and conforms to our policy directives. Both government and ANC policy priorities find direct expression in this policy and budget speech. It is an inclusive, comprehensive speech that covers the policy fundamentals such as the State of the Province Address, the State of the Nation Address, the National Development Plan, and the Manifesto of the African National Congress. The speech recognizes and appreciates the objective reality that confronts our country. It gives concrete scientific analysis of both the economic, the health, and social challenges that confront our country and the globe. In the midst of all these challenges, the budget speech encourages us to persevere and to continue persevering. It reminds us that our march to freedom is irreversible, that we must not allow fear to stand on our way, that we must forge ahead, permitting neither adversity nor doubt to divert us, that we dare not succumb to the challenges that confront our economy, that we should confront these challenges head on with the highest degree of determination and resolve, that we must advance with accelerated speed towards the building of a capable, a caring, and developmental state. But most importantly, the political thrust of this speech is that the fundamental precondition for growth and development is a healthy and productive population with access to quality and affordable health care. The African National Congress welcomes the following pronouncement, which is made by the MEC through her policy and budget speech. Number one, we welcome the progress registered so far in the implementation of the universal access to healthcare in the province. We welcome the undivided focus to the implementation of the national health insurance. We further welcome the improvement of security measures that have been put in different institutions in the province to ensure that our people are safe as they visit these institutions, and the workers who work in those institutions are safe. We welcome the building of a new tertiary hospital in the Emalahleni municipality to replace the aging hospital that is presently experiencing challenges. We welcome the building and completion of the Betal Hospital. We welcome the purchase of a fleet of ambulances. Already 35 has been delivered, and more than 60 ambulances are going to be delivered in the near future. We welcome the determination and resolve to fill the 1,210 vacant posts in the Department of Health so that we are able to enhance service delivery to our people. We welcome the drastic reduction in the accruals in a very short space of time. We welcome the implementation of the litigation strategy to protect the public purse against litigation. All these measures and many more are welcomed by the African National Congress. Honorable Speaker, as we are about to close, we don't want to be complacent and blow our own horn, but we think it is important to indicate that we are proud with regards to the response that this department has put in place to mitigate the impact of the COVID-19 epidemic. We welcome the speed in which the department introduced the preventative measures in terms of trying to mitigate the COVID-19. The preparations of health facilities for quarantine and care in anticipation of a possible spike in the virus. The radical implementation of the community screening that has been implemented by the province, by the department, the radical implementation of the contact tracing and testing that has been implemented by the department, the recruitment of frontline care workers, it's appreciated by ourselves, and we believe, Honorable Speaker, that it is because of all the above measures that have been taken by this department that our province is amongst the least provinces that are affected by the coronavirus. At present, we have only registered 2 fatalities. We do not say that we appreciate and celebrate on the 2 fatalities that has been registered by the province. But we are saying that if it were not because of the radical reaction by the province, we would have registered or would have incurred more than 2 fatalities. We still remain that one death is one too many. We encourage the MEC and the department to do more. We encourage the Provincial Command Council, led by the Honorable Premier, to do more, to continue to protect the lives of our people. We believe, Honorable Speaker, that it is only if we are united and it is only if we work together that we will be able to defeat the virus. Against this background, Honorable Speaker, the African National Congress welcomes and appreciates the budget speech presented by the Honorable MEC, and I want to request this Honorable House to adopt the 15,568,194,000 rand that is allocated to the department. We thank you, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Lombo. The next speaker is Honorable N.P. Mkabela from the EFF. 5 minutes. Honorable Mkabela.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker of the Legislature, Deputy Speaker, Honorable MECs, fellow members, the leader of the official opposition, Honorable MC Sedibe in absentia, and EFF detachment, Namisha Weda. The EFF welcomes the 2020-21 policy and budget speech as presented virtually on the 23rd of June 2020 by the Honorable MEC S.J. Manzini, with concerns that it doesn't inspire hope and confidence to the people of our province. Honorable Speaker, the COVID-19 pandemic have further exposed failure by the Department of Health to provide quality health care services to our people, the poor and vulnerable in our society. The deadly pandemic known as coronavirus has further proven that the ANC-led government in our province has failed our people by not prioritizing the dilapidated public health care facilities, which will make it difficult for our people to adhere to the current lockdown measures, among other the practice social distancing and washing of hands. Honorable Speaker, the EFF declared 2018 as a year of public health care in protest of the poor state of our healthcare facilities, who are mostly aging the case in point of Mapulaneng Hospital, which is in a state of collapse. Honorable MEC, we appreciate the purchasing of 35 new ambulances in the province to improve the turnaround response times as stipulated in the norms and standard of your department. However, we are concerned about the lack of quality roads infrastructure in our communities, especially in our poor black rural communities, which the Department of Public Works have neglected nor abandoned, making it very difficult to achieve the desired service delivery. Honorable Speaker, when the first case was reported in Mpumalanga, it was before the lockdown measures was implemented by the government to curb the spread of COVID-19, which was mostly welcomed by almost all the citizens in the country, including the political parties in the legislature led by the national government. The EFF rejected and continue to reject the government decision to uplift the lockdown regulations on no sound scientific and epidemiological basis. This is despite their repeated commitment that science will be the only basis to guide the decision for reopening the economy, and this have a negative impact on the poor. Therefore, as the EFF, we want to take this opportunity and commend the healthcare workers of this province who risk their lives and those of their families by continuously providing healthcare services to the infected and affected during this time, even when personal protective equipment were not provided to them by the department on several occasions. Not forgetting the home-based care workers who have been robbed into door-to-door by conducting screening processes on the ground and not sure whether they will receive monetary compensation for the great work done or not. Honorable MEC, the healthcare workers does not only want to hear Asante Sana by being mentioned in your speech, but they have families to feed. Let's take care of them as they continue to take good care of the sick. Honorable Speaker, as I conclude, we want to appeal to the department to walk the talk by strengthening their financial management control as presented by the Honorable MEC in her budget speech, as it has been a continuous concern raised by the AGSA. Kanemamba.
Honorable Mkabela.
Honorable Speaker, I can hear you.
Oh, have you concluded? Because I lost you towards the end.
Yeah, maybe I should touch the last paragraph. Yeah.
Honorable Speaker. We had the,
Sorry?
We had the last. Yes.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, she's finished.
No, thank you very much, Honorable Mkabela.
Honorable Mazini. Honorable Mazini, the speaker didn't hear me.
No, I'm the one who must respond. I've heard you.
Okay, Kaya. Okay, Kaya, thanks.
Okay, no, thank you very much, honorable members. Honorable Mkabela, you acknowledge Honorable Sedibe in absentia, and I did not receive any any apology to leave the sitting. It was not tendered to me. Maybe to the deputy speaker. Maybe the deputy speaker will just report on that one.
It was reported to the Deputy Speaker, Honorable Speaker.
Okay. No, thank you very much for that. The next speaker is Honorable R.J. Sitole from DA, 4 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'm just going to request permission to switch off my video for a better sound. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Yes, and thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, let me start by welcoming the fact that the Department of Health has finally realized that our healthcare facilities need professionally trained medical staff, and we are pleased that the provision has been made in this year's budget to employ the much-needed medical personnel. Honorable Speaker, it seems that novel coronavirus was the department's wake-up call in many issues that we've been raising, such as chronic staff shortages in the emergency medical services. It is a pity that it took the pandemic, such as the novel coronavirus, to realize the vital need for medical personnel. Honorable Speaker, the DA welcomes the 14% increase in the EMS budget. Honorable Speaker, I would like to commend the department as the maternal mortality rate continues to decline, as the MEC pointed out that one death of a mother is one too many, and the department is doing very well in that regard. Honorable Speaker, the DA welcomes the baby-friendly hospital initiative. However, I'll be failing in my duties if I don't bring to the attention of the MEC the current treatment of pregnant mothers in our hospitals. Just this month, 28-year-old Tisela Mayinge gave birth to twins in the toilet at Mapulaneng Hospital, and this was not the first incident of this nature at this hospital. Tisela and other pregnant women were forced to sleep on the floor due to the lack of, as I've sent the visuals to the MEC, due to lack of beds in the hospital. An impossible task to even practice social distancing. Honorable Speaker, gender-based violence is not only physical or mental abuse by men. It goes beyond that. The way these women are treated in our hospitals, it violates their rights and it takes their dignity away, and that cannot be acceptable. Honorable Speaker, while there are health workers who are selflessly giving themselves to ensure the well-being of others, some are making a point to unleash verbal abuse on patients, particularly pregnant women. These nurses unleash venom on patients due to their own frustrations with the department, and I think that needs to be addressed. We cannot have healthcare workers that are abusing patients and nothing is done about that. Honorable Speaker, women and children find themselves queuing in the cold and in the sun at our healthcare facilities like Klipfontein Clinic in Emalahleni. Mothers are carrying babies queuing for long hours outside because the clinic is simply too small and does not have a waiting area, once again making it impossible to practice social distancing in such conditions. I think we need to start at home before we go around and tell people to practice social distancing. Our health facilities need to be the examples of such as we are dealing with this novel coronavirus. Honorable Speaker, let our actions be as good as our speeches. Women and children find themselves at the receiving end of every raw deal, and that is concerning. Gender-based violence starts with the treatment that women and children receive at our healthcare facilities, and I will continue repeating that because we view gender-based violence as only people that are being abused and raped and murdered by men. However, the way we treat our women in our health facilities leaves much to be desired. Honorable Speaker, as we speak, there is no water at clinics like Pankop. While we're dealing with the coronavirus, we know that it requires strict hygiene. Jojo tanks and pipes are left to go dry. I wonder, then how are we going to beat this virus if we keep on having clinics that doesn't even have water? Honorable MEC, I'm hoping to get an answer today regarding the way the department is losing ambulances. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The DA welcomes the 50 million allocated for the computer-aided dispatch communication. And lastly, Honorable Speaker, as I conclude, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the healthcare heroes and heroines of our province as they put their lives at risk every day. We thank them for their courage and bravery as they are risking their health every day to save ours. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Sithole. The next speaker is Honorable W.L. Weber from the F Plus. 3 minutes.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. When our President Ramaphosa, announced the lockdown, I had the impression that the whole country supported him. Notwithstanding the fact that there could have been mistakes made, we are all united to fight this invisible enemy. When I listened to the MEC for Agriculture, I experienced her budget speech completely different. She quoted from Karl Marx. Karl Marx's policies, when implemented in the Soviet Union, it created the collapse of the Soviet Union. It's definitely not something that we should take as an example. She referred to the national health insurance as a shining star. I completely differ there. I view the national health insurance as a shooting star, something that we must completely steer away of. We simply can't afford national health insurance. We are not that healthy in South Africa. We can't take that route. Therefore, I completely disagree with the experience that I had from the speech from the MEC and as against the other people that have already been mentioned in this debate. This department is riddled with irregular expenses, fruitless and wasteful expenses, and the late payment of Eskom. I believe that there is definitely room for improvement in this department, and I will plead that we pay full attention to that. Having said all this, I want to give the assurance that we will be united in our efforts to fight this invisible enemy that has come upon us. We will give our full support even to the government with which I mostly disagree. I will give my full support to the MEC in her endeavor to curb the incidence of COVID-19, and you may rest assured that you have my support. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Weber. The last speaker is Honorable S.J. Manzini from the ANC, 10 minutes. Honorable Manzini.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Speaker. Let me take this opportunity and greet the Honorable Premier in absentia, the Deputy Speaker, the Chief Whip, the members of the Executive Council, and members of the Provincial Legislature, and indicate that as a department today, made to give a brief update, we are at 777 positive cases and 239 recoveries, and we have reported 2 deaths. May their soul rest in peace, and also indicate that there are other deaths that the minister still needs to pronounce in the province. And also maybe take this opportunity and indicate that we are also experiencing some movement of patients who are sometimes tested positive in other provinces and will now move towards the province of Mpumalanga, of which is something that we are going to take it up with NHC so that we are monitoring our positive cases so that we reduce the number of movement, especially from those that have tested positive to other provinces. and also indicate that, of course, we are moving towards our peak that is expected around your July to September. And as a department, as a province, we need to work together in making sure that in the main, we strengthen our communication in terms of preventing our people from being infected. Because if we can, that's the only way that we need to focus on to make sure that we don't increase the number of cases of people becoming positive, because you might not cope as a department or as a provincial government, not only us as a province, but as a country, we need to make sure that our people stick to what is expected from them, to stay at home if we are not doing any essential work. When you happens to go out and it's necessary, put on your mask and at all times wash your hands with water and soap and sanitizer. In terms of Honorable Chief Whip, thank you very much for your input. We really appreciate what you are saying. In fact, in the department, we are prioritizing the safety of our workers to make sure that we know that people are spending much of their time at work. So what we need to do as a department is to make sure that we provide a safety environment so that they are able to work freely, and also patients are safe when they are sick, because if you are sick, you don't even have energy to fight anyone. But also at the most, request our community to work with us, because the people who most of the time who are making sure that they're going to our facilities is either to fight our workers or not. Recently, we just experienced one of our security guard around Kangala that was killed. So we want to discourage our people from making our facilities a place where criminal activities will from time to time occur, and request that instead they should be assisting us in making sure that they are all policed by protecting our frontline workers who are working tirelessly, even during this time, to making sure that all of us we are safe. You know, Honorable Speaker, today we are seated somewhere in remote areas, but because we want to prevent ourselves from being infected. But you can imagine our frontline workers who doesn't have a choice, but every day they must wake up and make sure that we are all safe. We will always be thankful to them, and any opportunity that we get as a department, we say we appreciate the good work that we are doing, and we hope and pray that God will richly bless them for the good thing that they are doing for our people. In terms of the universal health care coverage that we are referring to, Honorable Chief Whip, we really appreciate. In fact, if there's a person in this country who does not understand that we need to provide national health insurance that will be able to cover all our people irrespective of your socio-economic status, then it means we are living in another world, or we are not realistic for you to understand that there is no person who have got it. If all of us who had a choice, we would not want to get sick. But if you are sick, therefore you must start negotiating in terms of whether do you have enough money to go and get proper health services. Then if you are saying that is not what South Africa needs, we have a serious problem than we thought. Hence, we are saying that you see, honorable members, Honorable Mkhabelo also is talking about our infrastructure, the condition and everything. To some extent, we can agree, because that's what we are always saying, that the national health insurance that will bring a balance, so that the money, that the budget that is allocated in our country should not look at your color of your skin, should not look at whether you are a worker or not. You should not need a medical aid, but all of us, we should be having the budget that will go to health system in the country, and that will make us be able to provide quality health services to our people. I know that Honorable Weber also was saying that the NHI, you know, you must go and ask people from Kharsibande and look at their infrastructure and look at their clinic where we have already implemented the NHI. They will tell you that life is no longer the same like it was before. But Honorable Weber, if you are used to good services, good infrastructure, of course you'll say that the NHI is not going to benefit our people. But we know very well that our people have tested. I'm saying to you, go to those clinics in Kharsibande where we have piloted NHI. You will not be saying, but maybe I need to take you. Sambe sobabili ngiyazi ukuthi wena uyafuna ukuhamba nami ngizokuthatha ngikuyise ngokukhombisa where we have piloted NHI, so that you can see the benefit our people are experiencing. Honorable Mkhabela, I agree with you that Mapulaneng, the condition is not in good hands. You should not always talk about the bad thing. You are saying in Bushbuckridge, Tamale, Amkur. We appreciate the department because they've seen the condition of Mapulaneng as a hospital. We are new hospital. We are building a new hospital in Mapulaneng, or you have missed that part. Because if you are debating and you are of the interest of our people, you should not talk about things that already the department is addressing. You know very well that we are building Mapulaneng because of the condition of the hospital. But for you to come here today and talk about something that the department is already
on a point of order, Speaker. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Mkhabela.
Yeah, just for correction, Honorable MEC, there's no construction going on for the past 14 months in Mapulaneng.
What?
So hence I said there's no Mapulaneng. Yeah.
Okay. Honorable MEC, could you please continue?
Yeah, maybe we're not in the province for a long time, but we handed over the project, you know very well, and because of COVID-19, they could not start. But that project was handed over to contractors. It was all over. And if you are staying in Bushbuckridge, and if you are representing the people of Bushbuckridge, you should know and communicating the correct information because you are a member of the provincial legislature. It's your responsibility to know all things that are happening in the provincial government that you are representing the people. And to come here, Honorable Mkhabela, to say our people, our healthcare workers, they don't have PPE. We are working with all our people. Maybe it's because of the lockdown, you were at home for a long time. But some of us who are here every day working with our people, our frontline workers, I even tell them myself to say, don't agree to work if you don't have PPE. And as your MEC, I'm telling you that because our health workers are more important than anyone else during this time. And we don't want to lose even one of them. We are working with the different unions to monitor that each and every facility there's PPE. So to come and say tell me one facility where you are saying there's no PPE, and so that we can go, myself and yourself, and check if whether there's no PPE. Because when we are seated as a province, we are not allowing, in fact, we are not exposing our healthcare workers to work without PPEs. That's something that I'm personally monitoring on a daily basis. So if there's a challenge in the province, rather than come here, you must be specific, in fact, because...
As you conclude, MEC?
How?
Yes.
Okay, no, as I continue...
Sorry, Mkaya, next time.
Hey, now man. That's why thank you very much for the input.
Order, Honorable Mkhabela. Honorable
Thank you very much. I wanted to respond to Honorable Sithole also, but now I don't have opportunity. 16 seconds, you can do that. Honorable Sithole, as a department, we even put more than 22 million to show the interest in terms of maternal and child health as a department, and we agree with you, but also I want to assure you that if there's any misconduct that is done by our healthcare workers, we are not condoning. We are going to deal with that as a department, and we have followed that matter that you are referring to, and we are taking action against those who are responsible. But thank you very much. In terms of your tracking system, ambulances, we are putting that system so that we are able to track and monitor in terms of where our ambulances are so that we can dispatch correctly at the correct time. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Time up. Thank you very much, Honorable Manzini. That concludes the debate on budget vote number 10. I will now the question before the House is whether we agree to adopt the report as tabled by Honorable J.L. Thabethe. Agreed to?
Yes.
Agreed. Thank you, and so agreed. Thank you very much. The Secretary shall read the fifth order of the day. Secretary.
Order number 6. Consideration and debate on a report of the Portfolio Committee on Health and Social Development, Ward 12, Department of Social Development.
Thank you very much, Secretary. I now call upon the Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Health and Social Development, Honorable J.L. Thabethe, to table the report. Honorable Thabethe.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I request the House to adopt the report as tabled by Honorable MEC. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Thabethe. I have the speakers list in front of me. The first speaker is Honorable J.L. Thabethe from the ANC. 8 minutes, Honorable Thabethe.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Greetings to Honorable Speaker, Deputy Speaker, Premier Mtsweni-Tsipane, our Honorable Chief Whip of the Majority Party, our Executive Council, our Honorable members, and all leadership of the management of the departments, the HODs. Honorable Speaker, I'm very honored to debate on budget speech, vote 12, Department of Social Development. Honorable Speaker, the COVID-19 crisis have caused concerns about their impact on women and children abuse, in short, gender-based violence. Numerous articles in South Africa on media has reported the increase of gender-based violence under this lockdown condition. The fear is that, Honorable Speaker, the victims are trapped inside their homes with their abusers of women and children, and they are unable to live or to escape because of this pandemic. Women and children have been victims of rape, sexual assault, harassment, femicide, and all abusive condition, Deputy Speaker. In Mpumalanga only, they have reported cases, about 69 cases, Honorable Speaker. That tells you that women and children are victims almost every day to those abusers. We need to action as Mpumalanga government in order to defend this pandemic abusive of women and children by developing a lot of programs regardless of the COVID-19 condition. Our voice must be heard. Enough is enough. Nina bobaba Mbumbulu abaye ukuhlukumeza abomama. I know ukuthi there's no interpreter, but awuyaka Hansat, Honorable Speaker, bathole the interpretation ye Mbumbulu ukuthi yini. Honorable Speaker, the department has managed to achieve their target almost in all programs. They have distributed many sanitary towels in many schools that situated in rural areas around the province for our young girls, and we appreciate it. They've also assisted a lot of ECD centers by subsidizing them to ensure that early childhood development are being prioritized. Our NPOs also being funded all over the province in order for them to function without any frustration of funds. Our victims empowerment centers have been supported on social and emotional support, especially victims of gender-based violence, by providing shelters and any other social support. We appreciate the department. During this pandemic, we've seen the MEC of the department visiting various pension pay points, giving them support practicing the social distance and guiding the senior citizen of Mpumalanga. We've also seen the department distributing food parcel in various families in all the district of Mpumalanga, and we appreciate that, although there's still needs of this food parcel because a lot of people still not working, Honorable Speaker. We've seen the department assisting the homeless people being supported during this lockdown by giving them food parcel and shelters. The child-headed family also benefited on receiving food parcel and other services from the department during this pandemic. Even, Honorable Speaker, when department is achieve all this program that they have, but they still have challenges, especially on the budget that they've allocated the department. Honorable Speaker, remember when a person wake up, feel hungry, when a person wake up, feel hated, when a person not working, the first department that they are thinking of is Department of Social Development. The issue of infrastructure is still a challenge in this crucial department. We still need to build more shelters or centers as Mpumalanga government in order to meet the needs of the victims and homeless people. Honorable Speaker, this department still need to fill a lot of vacancies in Program 1, irrespective of the moratorium, because they have a lot of shortage of social workers. And it's a challenge to the department because they can't run without the assistance of the social workers. We therefore request the treasurer to look on budget adjustment during the budget adjustment and increase the budget or the allocation of the department. Honorable Speaker, we also urge the department to continue to take care for the homeless people even after this pandemic, because we can see that now our streets are clean and there's no a lot of kids around the street in our surroundings. And we appreciate what the department has been doing for assisting in order of
50 seconds. 50 seconds.
Okay. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. We appreciate the effort of the department. We also appreciate the front workers of the department, the social workers in particular, because they are the ones that are exposed to work and do door-to-door in order to assist the people of Mpumalanga. I therefore, on behalf of the African National Congress, agreed to adopt 1,838,455,000 of this department. I thank you, Speaker.
Very much, Honorable Tabete. The next speaker is Honorable Engineer Nyembe from the EFF. 5 minutes. Honorable Nyembe.
Honorable Speaker, Honorable Premier, MECs, fellow members of the legislature, the leader of the official opposition party, Honorable CM Sidibe and EFF detachment. The EFF notes and welcome the 2020-21 policy and budget speech as virtually presented on the 23rd of June 2020. Honorable Speaker, the white paper of 1997 correctly placed the Department of Social Development in a position to implement developmental social welfare services in a holistic, people-centered and sustainable manner. We have observed as economic freedom fighters that this department is not investing in social investment initiatives that will propel communities to self-reliance and sustainable, so that the poorest household and communities are able to sustain their livelihoods towards economic freedom. But we continue to witness a prolonged and concerted effort to keep us in a welfare-oriented society with a perpetual dependence on social grants. Honorable Speaker, the vision of this department is caring and self-reliant society through promotion and protection of quality and sustainable livelihoods of the poor, vulnerable and marginalized group. We have noted with disgust the governing party leaders, the Deputy Speaker of the Legislature, who was seen floating food parcel at his residence, as well as the member of Legislature who was also involved in the food parcel distribution. The EFF has opened cases against the corrupt ANC leaders who continue to use the state resources to campaign during this period of COVID-19. Honorable Speaker, we find ourselves with more questions than answers. Hence, again, we have plans for 2020-2021 with an acting HOD. Honorable MEC, what happened to the HOD? Honorable MEC, the previous financial year targets and programs were not met, but the budget some were exceeded and some at 99%. Not a single program in all 5 plans were fully achieved, but performance bonuses to the amount of 11.4 million was paid to a no report, non-compliance, review targets. Why, Honorable MEC, do we reward laziness? In conclusion, Honorable Speaker, don't you think that this department is in crisis in the hands of Honorable Shongwe, who risked the lives of staff members by sending them out to provide essential services despite the shortages of PPEs? I thank you.
To Honorable Nyembe. The next speaker is Honorable R.J. Sithole from the DA, 4 minutes. Honorable Sithole.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, when I think of the Department of Social Development, I think of a department which is geared towards dealing directly with addressing the injustices of the past, ensuring that those who face any hardships in our society are given every possible assistance they need. When you think of social development, you immediately think of poverty alleviation, food relief, assistance to the disabled and the elderly and the most vulnerable in our society. Honorable Speaker, the DA welcomes the overall increase of the budget from the 1.658 billion from the previous financial year to 1.838 billion in this current financial year. This increase is even more crucial to the 46.4% of our population in Mpumalanga who earns less than 992 rand per month. Many who are unemployed go to bed hungry, victims of gender-based violence, which has been increasing in our province, and those livelihoods that has been devastated because of the novel coronavirus pandemic. Honorable Speaker, COVID-19 pandemic has wreaked havoc in our municipalities, resulting in job losses and threatened food security. Given the above, I was expecting that the department would at least create a special program targeting those that have been affected or increase the amount of food parcels to be distributed. However, I missed this in the MEC speech delivered by the Honorable MEC on Tuesday, and may I propose that the department consider this. Honorable Speaker, in the department's APPs, it makes you further wonder, where is all this money going to go? Because most of the programs have been decreased. If you look at the increase of the victims of the decrease in the number of gender-based violence victims, that it has decreased from 37,000 to 20,000 in this current financial year. People that will be reached through prevention programs. Rape, sexual assault, and physical abuse often results in severe emotional trauma for the victims. And given the exponential increase of these attacks, the department also decreased the number of victims that will receive psychosocial support from 3,024 to just 850 in this financial year. Honorable Speaker, education is the only way we can uplift people from the triple challenges of poverty, unemployment, and inequality. And despite this as being the cornerstone of our democracy, our education system further entrenches this inequality. Despite the increase in ECD grants, the number of children accessing registered ECD programs will also essentially increase from 87,950 previous financial year to 70,795 in this current financial year. Honourable Speaker, let me take this opportunity, however, to thank the Honourable MEC for always responding to our questions and for recognizing that members of the legislature are there to represent communities. For all the questions that I've sent to her during particularly this difficult time, she has responded, especially around food relief efforts, and that is appreciated from her department as we receive the answers in detail. In conclusion, Honourable Speaker, I would also like to pay tribute to the social workers who jumped in and folded their sleeves during a very difficult and challenging time. They put in extra hours around the clock to reach the most vulnerable in our society, and for that we owe them a great deal of gratitude. I wish them strength going forward. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Sutole. The next speaker is Honorable W.M. Weber from the F Class. 3 minutes.
Thank you very much, Speaker. At face value, this department is very well run. There is almost zero fruitless and wasteful expenditure. There's a very small amount of irregular expenditure. And on that basis, I can only conclude that this department is very well run. But let me revisit gender-based violence. You will not curb gender-based violence by putting people in jail, by punishing people. There's only one way to curb this scourge, and that is by proper education. We must teach our young people to respect women. We must teach our young people, our children, that they must have good manners, that they are not allowed to do the things to harm women and children. I have been told this morning that the gender-based violence is because of apartheid. Madam Speaker, am I allowed to laugh? Because I've never heard anything like that. That the problems that we have with people who are ill-behaved is because of apartheid. That doesn't make sense. I want to repeat, the schooling system is in a way failing us, is failing society, because the schooling system does not teach our young people to respect women and children. I thank you.
Very much, Honorable Webb. The next speaker will be Honorable Biti Shongwe from the ANC. 10 minutes. Honorable Shongwe. Unmute, Honorable Shongwe. Unmute, please. Unmute, Honorable Shongwe. Support staff, kindly assist, please.
Shongwe is Friday.
Honorable Speaker, can you hear me now? Honorable Speaker, can you hear me? Yes.
There is an echo. Yes.
Honorable Speaker, can you hear me?
Yes, you can continue, Honorable Chongwe.
Uyangiva man.
You can
Honorable
continue.
Speaker, can you hear me?
Yes, Honorable Chongwe.
Thank you. Sorry for the disturbance, Honorable Speaker, and to the honorable members. I was still greeting you, Honorable Speaker, the Deputy Speaker, our Honorable Premier, and the members of the Executive Council, honorable members of the Legislature, Director General, and all HODs, especially Mrs. Mjapilo, our acting HOD, and the members of the media. Honorable Speaker, we are holding this debate at a critical time in the history of the world, particularly our country, with regard to COVID-19. Therefore, we need to reprioritize our budget in line with the amendment of the APP because of this scourge and its impact. Our plan needs to address all the social ills faced by our community, especially women, children, elderly, and people with disability. Honorable Speaker and Deputy Speaker, the budget and policy we tabled seek to address the social ills faced by our society in the midst of COVID-19, as I mentioned, which has coupled with gender-based violence, which has spiked in our society because of the cases that are reported. Yes, women can't breathe as men have their knees on their neck, and it's time for women to shake them off and fight this scourge so that we can be able to breathe. Social development is the core department responsible for addressing social individuals, families, and communities at large. These social ills have been worsened by the COVID-19 pandemic, such as GBV, substance abuse, child abuse, neglect, family disorganization, amongst others, just to mention a few. As mandated by the Prevention and Treatment of Substance Abuse Act 70 of 2008, the department is planning to intensify prevention services targeting children under the age of 18 years, as well as the youth and adults. Today, we commemorate the International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking. This is a societal problem that contributes to the many social ills affecting our communities. To deal with these social ills, we will intensify our plan of action on the role that men must play in curbing and promoting healthier and safer communities by holding dialogues and seminars. In this regard, we wish to thank the Deputy President, who is a patron of the Boys' Assembly and Men's Parliament, for championing and teaching young boys on how they should behave. These dialogues aims to bring together prominent and ordinary South African men from all walks of life, from business, labor, political leadership, sports, and other sectors, to unite in one voice and call for the end of violence against women, children, and other men, of course. These prominent men have millions of ordinary men who look up to them and can bring about a united call of action for men to actively protect women and children in their communities. In order to address GBV, the department will increase the capacity. As we speak, National has given us a grant where we were able to hire 128 social workers. They are going to start on the 1st of July in the fight against gender-based violence. But we want to elevate this matter that they've given us money to hire for only 3 months. And we are now drafting a proposal that we will elevate to the Office of the Premier and Finance so that we can be able to hire them for 12 months, because 3 months is just nothing. We won't yield any results. COVID-19 has drastically increased poverty and food insecurity to most of the people and vulnerable families and communities. The mandate as the department is to create a conducive environment for the care and protection of children, especially the most vulnerable ones. These include ECD services, children in drop-in centers, and community-based services, which were all affected by COVID-19 lockdown. All children have the right to be safe and to receive loving care and support. And this is what the department seeks to achieve by engaging parents and caregivers, because they have a primary responsibility for raising the children and ensuring that these rights are upheld. Honorable Speaker, the department will provide financial support, capacitate parents and caregivers. We will ensure that all social development facilities are registered and comply with the requirement norms and standards. As a department, we are determined to push back the frontiers of poverty and inequalities in our society. Honorable Speaker, before I can conclude, I just want to respond on some issues that have been raised by the honorable members of the House. Let's first thank our chairperson and all members that are supporting this budget, that are supporting this department, especially kulo msebenzi lomkhulu lesibukane nawo kulesikhathi se-COVID. And we must understand that our work requires contact work with our services. The services that we offer requires physical contact, and therefore our social workers and all our staff are, in a danger. Honorable Speaker, as we reported in our speech that one of them has already been infected, but we wish her a speedy recovery. Let me come to Honorable Nyembe. Honorable Nyembe, our HOD is on sick leave, so we can't expect him to be at work whilst he is sick. And also the 350 social grant fund that has been offered by SASSA has lowered the demand of food parcel. We agree with the chairperson that the budget allocated to us is insufficient, as we now face with the situation of being understaffed, and even our senior management positions, especially the the chief director for social welfare is vacant. We have a person that is acting there, also in other many critical posts, but we will submit our request to the Office of the Honorable Premier, because I think that impacts us negatively. When I come to this issue of saying the Deputy Speaker and another member, I don't know how it gets in this debate, because as a department, we have never given the Deputy Speaker, we have never given a member of the legislature any food parcels. Our food parcels had been distributed by our social workers, social auxiliary workers, our community development workers, and also the CDPs. We were assisted by COGTA in terms of the staff, so that we could be able to fast track the distribution. No member, no politician has ever received anything from the department. And you will remember that the food parcel were from agriculture. I don't know how, Ms. Nyembe, do you bring this subject? But however, we thank everyone, our social partners, those people that donated food so that we could be able to reach a wide variety of the vulnerable people in our province. So I want just to make it clear, Honorable Nyembe, even if you can do your investigation, nothing was ever given to any politician. You can check even from our sub-district and our district, no one has ever received any food parcel. I just want to clear that matter. And Honorable Speaker, we will continue to support our centers, our ECDs, CYCs, our old age homes, centers for disability, victim centers, drop-in centers, as per our APP. I thank you, Chairperson. Siyabonga.
Thank you very much, Honorable Shongwe. That concludes the debate on budget vote number 12. Thank you very much. Now the question before the House is whether we agree to adopt the report as tabled by Honorable J.L. Tabete. Agreed to?
Agree.
Agreed. And so agreed. Thank you very much, honorable members. That brings us to the end of today's business. The House is adjourned until the 3rd of July 2020 at 10 o'clock via Microsoft Teams platform. Thank you very much, honorable members.
Thank you very much. Long live the Speaker on Friday.
Thank you.
Speaker.
On the Friday.
Thank you very much, Speaker.
Siyabonga, I support you, Mama.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye, Mama. Hambani yopheka.
Hayi, Shongwe, hambopheka nawe. 50-50, hawo.
Sebenzi wenu kupheka.
It's Friday. No way.
Sebenzi wenu.
Siyabonga Sithole, siyabonga.
Siyabonga MEC.
Siyabonga mngani wami, siyabonga Sithole.
Ngokuletha abantwana emhlabeni. Bye-bye.
Bohlala siso mngani wami, yabona.
Yebo mngani wami.
Bye MEC. Bye BT.
Bye mabhekane.
Bye great.
Siyabonga Honorable Lilbisi, siyabonga kuyo yonke portfolio committee.
Thank you.
Siyabonga.
Nibene mpela sonde emnandi.
Siyabonga sidishe ekhaya. Quarantine emakhaya ndilebo babe, quarantine emakhaya.
Okay, sharp.
Nitasibangela i-GBV. Itophela i-COVID eShongwe, quarantine ekhaya.
Siyabonga kakhulu. Yeah, basekhona lapho. Ngale.
I'm just checking this thing.
Basekhona ngale. Abafuna isiqeda. Ayibuye nihlalahlale kancane lapha. Ngive ukuthi bathini. Yiba sizavula nase ngihleli lapha.
Okay. Hola.